Hey guys, so today I will talk more about um, something that's hardly talked into. We talk about Java and serialization and deserialization, right? But one thing we really don't cover is the security behind it. How secure is a deserialization process and what can be done with the deserialization, right, if not done properly. So um yeah, I was kind of curious, so I googled, asked some question to chat gpt and all, and what I found online was pretty scary actually, in regards to deserialization. And if we were to miss some good coding practices, testing, I think that might be a very big issue. For the demo reason, I have written something on my local. I'll do a demo where I will run a Windows command by making an API call to a Spring Boot application, using remote code execution, uh, a way of running some script, bad script. But for this demo, I'll just run a calculator command um, in my Windows machine. Um, and then, but the same thing can be applied to Linux. You can go and create a uh, like run a command that creates a folder. Um, but yeah, if you have to do all this, I recommend you to do it in your personal laptop, in controlled environment. And also after the demo, I'll talk about some of the best common practices that we can do. There are some answers online, even ChatGPT or anything you ask AI wise, they will give you some great responses. Um, but I really don't think they actually cover some of the part, which I will cover. Um, but for that, without delay, let me start with the uh, code that I have. I'll do some demo there first, and then we'll cover what are some best practices to avoid this kind of security loopholes. Alrighty, so let's see. Okay. Um, yeah, you can ignore all this. I was working on some Docker thing, but yeah, this one popped into my head, so I thought, why should not I do some kind of demo? So yeah, all right. So for the demo, uh, I have this controller class, REST controller class, and I have this method called deserialize. And this particular deserialize API will take the request in the array byte format, right? So somebody will send you a serialized data of a byte. Now, once that byte comes in, um, let me revert this. Actually, this is something to uh, let's do this. Okay, yeah. They will send this request comes in, all good, right? They read that serialized data, but when they are reading that particular data, right, that particular data will have some script actually that will successfully run when they make this API call actually. Okay. Now, how do I construct this serialized data that has that particular code in there? So for that, um, okay, so for this one right here, I have created a static block here, and this static block will have some runtime code from the language package. And what this will do is this will open up a calculator in Windows machine. And let's see. Okay. So this is the particular payload that I'm writing. This particular payload, I'll send it via exploit sender, right? And then I'm doing this in a same project, but somebody were to actually do it, they would have a separate application. They would write something like this. They would first construct a uh, payload that will have a script on it, and this payload they will initialize with some kind of program. It does not have to be Java. It can be anything actually. A .NET application could call my deserialize API right here. And also one thing to note here, right? The payload is byte itself. So that's what we're sending. So we'll use the good old connection settings to send it. You could use REST template or even fancier ones for Java. So what we are doing is we will create a instance of malicious payload, put that payload in the byte array output stream, and build that payload so we can send it to output stream. And then this payload output stream would be the API call. So here you can see we're writing that data and sending it over uh, to this API. So me let me run this example application first. Okay. All right. So I have this running. Okay. It started on port 8080. And I have this. So I'll make a call to this exploit sender. So as soon as I run this, right, as you can see, it did make a call to the, yeah, request received. So it made a call to the API here, and it was able to actually open up a calculator. Um, so yeah, yeah, this is pretty risky, right? So how do we avoid all this? Um, there are some best practices we should do. Um, some of them being, receive request body as a JSON format, but not as a straight like just the byte itself, right? Um, and then you can also do this. You can use a reflection API to make sure that it does not have uh, something like this, like a static block itself, because static block itself is hard to detect when you are running a reflection API. But what we could do is we could put a check again in reflection API saying if no method is defined, just reject it. Um, and if the code is coming from static block, just reject it. Now, what if the request is coming from a different app, right? Different programming language. At that point, I think the predefined request body is something that we should enforce. And then once we read that request body, do not process the byte. Once again, do not process the byte. But before processing the byte, reading the byte, make sure that you use some pattern or regex to see that, if that particular payload contains those script, and if it does, then reject it. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's a regex. That's what I yeah, yeah. This is the regex one that I was talking about. Regex or the patterns. Pattern object uses regex inside it. And also one of the new one that the latest Java I would say uses is validating object input stream, right? So what it does, it has a way to safe list types, which we can use, and then based on the safe list type, we can actually say, hey, deny if anything outside of it coming, or only accept this. So let me show you on this one real quick. Um, Here, instead of object input stream, I would use validating object input stream. Okay, and after we do this, I would just go ahead and you could add a reject pattern share or accept pattern share. So um, you could say, uh, let's see, mm, 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 let's say something uh, like um, reject anything coming from com dot docker dot example dot what was it malicious payload malicious, or I could just do um well, let's do wildcard here and then the same thing. Okay, all right, so this is a reject pattern, but if I hover over or well, there are several things like we could just say accept, and what else? There are several options which we could explore, but for our use case, we could start with the reject one. Let me run. Let me rerun this now. Okay, let's see. Okay, our Spring Boot app is started now. Let me run this code again. Oops, I think I have too many open here. But let me close all this. And let's see. There you go. If you look at this one now, they did receive request, but it failed, saying, hey, the class name not accepted because it was under this. So yeah, there you have it. So this is one of the basic one. Personally, I would make sure I don't take take as a byte itself, like some object from some object that I would use. And in that, let's create a some object class. What the heck? Yeah, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I would make sure that this particular some object has a variable as at least, right? Because it will be easier to read the content of some byte, and also discourage uh, the static log, because static runs like right away. So that's something I would not do. Um, and see. Yeah, I think I have to import some some dependencies, but yeah, yeah, good practices goes a long way. But obviously, I would never do this. This is a bad practice, I would say. Like read the byte itself. I would rather read the request body and make sure it's a valid request body that we're receiving, and also that particular object that we are sending does match what we are what's needed, right? So obviously, controller will send out it's a bad request if it doesn't match. But if you were to match, and if the some byte has some some bad code on it, we could then further follow these and make sure we do a secure deserialization of Java application. And I believe this will apply to any other programming language as well. All right. Well, thank you for being here all the way to the end. Hope you learned something from this video. You guys have a great night, a great day, wherever you are.